Ford is back. Matt, tell them why you came.
Well, I went crazy and I got rid of my Toyota Camry, which was uncomfortable, and I bought a 1991 Mercedes Benz 350 SDL. And I went for it because A, Pierre swears by those vehicles, and
I do actually.
Yeah, and B, the interior, that S-Class interior, those seats, they're incredibly comfortable. I have a bad back. Doesn't bother me now.
I can hear all the people from the forums going, but Pierre, why would you swear by an engine that bends its connecting rods?
Yeah, the rod bender, as everyone...
How many miles does this car have on it?
258,000.
How much oil has it used?
Since I got it, nothing.
Yeah, well, there you go. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The truth about the 350 is they're sort of like eggs. Most of them are good. Some of them are bad. The bad ones really kill the reputation of the good ones for a lot of people. In your case, your car had a really good service history.
Yes.
And so tell our viewers about some of the things this car had done over the past 150,000 miles.
Oh my goodness. So obviously the air conditioning was completely rebuilt and kept R12. The transmission was done, and
By done, actually, I looked at the records. They replaced the reverse clutches, which are really the only thing that go bad in those things.
I think there were other records in there.
They did a front pump seal, but it was mostly the reverse clutches, which is the one thing that fails. So
yeah. And of course, the big one is they replaced the head.
Yeah, at 118,000 miles, the car got the last version of the 603 cylinder head. Now, here's why that's significant, because the 603-97 engine had a problem with its valve guides, where the valve guides would wear out, and they would actually become cone-shaped internally.
Lovely.
Causing oil to leak past the valve stem seal, past the valve on top of the piston. And if you ever pull the head off of one of those engines, when you bring the piston up to top dead center, Matt, it's not like the piston comes up and there's like 2 or 3 millimeters for the top of the block.
Yeah.
The piston actually comes up when there's no head on it higher than the block, like 1 millimeter or 2 higher than the block. There is no room in there. Where is that millimeter? The head gasket. So the compression all occurs inside the pre-chamber, and that's where a lot of the combustion occurs. So later on, Mercedes, realizing that their valve guides were garbage on those engines, were able to update them to a design that was less garbagey. And you can infer the fact that the connecting rods have been because if you have a piston with no clearance and you have oil in between the head and the piston, the connecting rod is eventually going to go clunk.
Terrifying.
Yeah, because the liquid becomes a solid under very high pressure when it has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
What are some of your impressions about the car since you've got it?
Number one, the comfort level, of course. For 1980s, early 1990s, you simply can't beat it.
Does it sound like a diesel?
Yes. When you first start it, it has
I'm talking about from
diesel
sitting
sound.
inside.
I still feel it's strange because, of course, I have a 500 SEC.
Super quiet.
Yeah, and so when you go from the SEC into the SDL, it's a bit strange. And it's my first diesel, but it's a nice sound. I actually like it. It's kind of a pleasant workmanship.
How would you rate the car's power under initial acceleration, highway speed, passing ability?
Off the line, it's one of the slowest cars I've ever had. But once you get to about 30 miles per hour, I feel there's a great deal more pull, and getting in and out of traffic is not a problem.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look at my impressions of the 350, because I drive a 123, so the power between the 300D turbo and the 350 is about the same. But I've always felt like the 350, because of its higher torque, pulls like a train. Even from a dead stop, it's not too bad. In fact, I would say that the 350 pulls better than a 300 SEL.
Well, yeah, I haven't owned an SEL.
Your buddy Don has a 300 SE.
Yeah, he has the SC. Now that car is
Does Don watch the channel?
Yeah, he does.
You hear that, Don? I think that the diesel pulls better than a 300 SE.
The thing about Don's 300 SE is, of course, with that vehicle and that engine, it revs really high on the highway. and the SDL does, but it's not as like a high of a whine.
3,000 miles an hour, 3,000 RPM at 78
RPMs.
miles an hour.
I think that car is at its best from 45 to 65. When I'm cruising at 65, I think it's really pleasant.
Really? You cruise at 65?
Well, not on the way down here, I didn't.
No. I actually think those engines do good at 80, but the problem is that they run a little hot, and we're going to try to deal with some of the heat. There's
from 75 to 80, I think I was around 100. When I kept it around 73, it was about 95.
Which is normal for a 350. What about your fuel economy? What do you get for fuel economy?
In town, maybe 19, but on the way down here, I calculated 24.5.
Which is about what my 300 TD wagon got, so that's pretty good. And
for such a large car, I can't complain.
Really impressive. I mean, a 560 SEL can't get 19 on the highway.
No.
A 300 SE or SEL, if you are lucky, you will get 19. Most of them, if they're really good, they will get 20, but most of them today get 18.
Well, I'm getting about 15 to 16 with my 500 SEC. So it's a big difference. The issue, of course, is going from the SDL into the SEC. I have to be careful on that gas pedal. All you have to do is touch it, and it feels like going into a rocket ship.
Well, yeah, that's the 500.
They are so different, but they have a different purpose. The SEC is my fun car. The SDL will be my daily driving car. Point A
great
to B.
Great reason to have it.
In comfort.
Yeah, in comfort. Well, that's good. What's our first part of this interview about the 350 SD and SDL? Please give us a like, share, and subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. And if you want to do an interview about your own Mercedes, come see me, and we'll talk about it all day. Well, for like 10 minutes.